please. His opponents are saying to this very day the same rhetoric that led to those two assassination attempts. The second attempted assassin on President Trump's life echoed the sentiment that President Trump is a threat to democracy. And if you're a deranged lunatic and you're mentally ill, you will believe that lie. And yes, you will take political violence like we have seen in two instances against President Trump.
I love watching the mainstream media get exposed. They are always spewing this rhetoric that is harmful and deterring the American people from actually hearing the truth. And on ABC News, they get completely wrecked from this young woman who completely exposes their narrative about Donald Trump. And it's just chef's kiss. But before we get into that, make sure that you subscribe to RTM News. I'm Titus, where we give you that uncensored free speech content where we don't edit and manipulate the truth of what happens in our country and in our world. So hit that subscribe button and let's get into this.
About violence against political opponents, let's talk about the fact that Democrats have been labeling President Trump a threat to democracy for the better half of 10 years. Let's talk about how they have compared him to Hitler, one of the worst mass murderers in the history of the world, and that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden weaponized the court system and the justice system in this country against Donald Trump in an attempt to imprison him. He sat through a courthouse for 7 weeks this past year, and the Democrats were hoping he would go to jail for it. That is real political violence that has led to two heinous assassination attempts on President Trump's life that, by the grace of God, he was able to escape, and he is here with us today. So yes, President Trump knows a little bit about political violence because he's experienced it himself. And talking about the tragic realities of war that Liz Cheney and her father Dick Cheney have got this country into is not political violence. It's talking about the reality of the foreign conflicts that the Washington, D.C. establishment have sold out young Americans to for decades.
Yet, of course,
she was spitting the bars. Nothing but truth. Yeah, let's see what this lady's got to say. Yeah, of course, but
after those attempted assassination attempts on the former president's life, his opponents reached out to him and said they do not accept political violence that has been.
Nope. No, sorry. You don't get to, for 8 years, spew this nonsensical rhetoric that he's a dictator, he's a parallel of Hitler, all of his followers are Nazis, he's trying to be a fascist dictator. You don't get to call him all these things, completely fuel the other side with hate, with actual just cause for wanting to attack the man, and then be like, well, they all said that, we don't condone this violence and that it's all wrong. You were calling him all these things for years, and now you're trying to backpedal because now the results of that is someone trying to attempt to murder this man. Nope. Sorry. You don't get a pass on that, and your apologies mean absolutely nothing. But please go on.
Key difference. I do want to play you.
No, please. His opponents are saying to this very day the same rhetoric that led to those two assassination attempts. The second attempted assassin on President Trump's life echoed the sentiment that President Trump is a threat to democracy. And if you're a deranged lunatic and you're mentally ill, you will believe that lie. And yes, you will take political violence like we have seen in two instances against President Trump. Last week, Tim Walz and Kamala Harris said that everyone who showed up to President Trump's rally at Madison Square Garden was a Nazi. That's despicable, dangerous, divisive rhetoric that is spewed by the Democrat Party every single day. And I am so sick and tired of the media pointing the finger at Donald Trump and saying that he is sowing division in this country. He is not. The media is for pushing hoaxes like the one that you all pushed today, and the Democrat Party is for pushing lies about him. But the good news is Americans don't buy it. And that's why today in 2024, President Trump is more popular than he has been since 2016, because people don't trust the media and they're not buying the Harris campaign's closing argument that he's some great threat to our democracy, because they lived under him for 4 years as president, and our democracy and our country was stronger than it is today.
She cooked him. She cooked ABC so hard, and that is 100% true. Everything she did was a fact. Under Trump's policies, under Trump's administration, the American people were so much better than they are today. And we all know that. We all feel that. That's why there's been an overwhelming support for Trump. And so many people that you would not have expected. I mean, I just got endorsed by Joe Rogan the day before the election. Elon Musk came out in massive support after the first assassination attempt. We have influencers like Bryce Hall come in, Corey Nakaf. We have Mike Tyson. All these people decided, like, hey, Jake Paul, what we're going through and what we have been going through is just too much. Aide and Ross. It's time to see a change, and that they want to see it happen. And everyone knows that this current administration is not only harming the American people, they're lying to us and saying that, hey, the cause is Trump, the reason is Trump, and we're going to fix it, even though they're the ones currently in power. So thank you so much for exposing ABC on their complete and utter nonsense. And up next, we have RFK Jr., who also exposes the ridiculous rhetoric spewed by the left-wing media and how it's time for a change, and that change is Donald Trump. So let's get into this.
And somebody called me one of the anchors of ABC today, and I had an off-the-record discussion with him. And he said, there's so much division in this country. And I said, that's because you're causing it.
Oh.
My nephew, who's traveled with me for 19 months, he's my wife Cheryl's nephew. And he's been working for me for 19 months and traveled everywhere with me. And he's met President Trump many times now. And he said to me today, he said, everybody who's met President Trump loves President Trump.
I can attest to that. Met him a couple of times. 2015, I got to take a picture with him. Nicest guy, super funny. And then this year in Aurora, Colorado, I had the opportunity because he saw me on RSBN and he really enjoyed what I was saying to the people that were sitting there at the rally waiting to talk to him, because what they had been experiencing in their state. And he was just super empathetic about what was happening in that state and how he wants to see a change happen, and how we're currently under people in power that are not trying to do anything to actually benefit the American people. And he genuinely meant it. At least from my personal encounter with him, I truly felt like he wanted to see a change and wanted to be a part of that change. So I completely agree with that sentiment. After meeting him, I thought he was a really cool guy. And obviously I don't know him personally, but from my experience, I believe RFK is saying, and I believe that when everyone meets him, they probably feel the same.
He said, you can't help but love him. So why does half of America hate him?
Why?
They haven't met him, and the media is telling them to hate him. And I said this, I said, you're demonizing him, you're vilifying him, you're calling us garbage, you're calling him Hitler, you're calling him a fascist. And of course people are going to hate him. And I said, and by the way, you're writing all these articles condemning me coming into Washington, dismantling the pharmaceutical paradigm.
Thank God.
Where are you getting your salary?
Listen up.
From pharma. And he said, we tell both sides of the story. And I said, no, you don't. And he said, well, President Trump is saying radical things. I said, like what? He said he's going to pull CBS's license.
That cheer right there showed you how fed up people are with the mainstream media and how they clearly are on one side of the political spectrum when it comes to supporting and promoting. They completely vilify and characterize any person on the right as some alt-right extremists to some degree. And it's just disingenuous, and we're over it. That's why people are cheering at the thought of CBS getting a license revoked.
And I said he ought to pull CBS's license. CBS doesn't own the airwaves. We do. The people of the United States own the airwaves. CBS is licensed to use the airwaves, but only for a public purpose, to advance the public benefit. We have a doctrine in this country called the Fairness Doctrine that says if you're licensed to own a network, you got to tell the news at least once a day, and you got to be fair to both sides. And I said to this guy, I said, you know, I was running for 19 months. When Ross Perot ran in 1992 for 10 months, he did 34 live interviews on the airwaves, on the national networks. And I said, I did 4 in 19 months, and your network never let me on a single time. You're only telling one side of the story.
No surprise there.
And the only thing you'll report about Donald Trump is propaganda to make people despise him. And you know,
That's so true. The only thing they promote about Donald Trump is negative things that aren't true to his character or true to what he's actually trying to do for the country. And it's divisive, and it deters people from hearing the truth. And that's all they've been doing for the last 8 years. And that's something that needs to change. And with this freaking Justice League Avengers team that he's brought on for this new administration, having knowledge, having gone through the first administration, not knowing who the people that were bad and the people that are good, and having a good handle on how to go about it this time around, adding Tulsi Gabbard, adding Elon Musk and RFK Jr., all these people, Vivek Ramaswamy, top heroes, like, this is how we're going to make the country so much better than what it has been experiencing. And I genuinely think that the pendulum has swung and people are really over what we're currently dealing with. And so shout out to RFK, and shout out to that woman who completely obliterated the ABC host anchor who did not know what they were talking about and was peddling the propaganda they've been doing for the last, well, forever. So anyways, if you got any value from this video, make sure that you're subscribing, engaging, comment your thoughts, let me know what you think, and also make sure to go out there and vote. All right, guys, see you next time. Peace.